While I was here installing a heat pump downstairs on an in-law, the upstairs tenants said they have no heat in 2 back rooms. And the initial problem was there's an in-law behind this wall, and they were complaining about overheating, and the overheating was due to every time the upstairs people wanted heat, the people who live downstairs do not have control over the heat, and they're the closest runs, so they get cooked out. They get baked at 80 or 90 degrees upstairs before upstairs gets down up to 70 degrees and or even 68 degrees, because the way this is pulling is, here is the return right here. So that's the return, and the return goes out into this hallway. And the return is in no way, shape, or form connected to the downstairs in-law. So what happens, let's turn this off. It draws the house negative. The whole house becomes a big shop vac under negative pressure. So here's that return. Here's where the heater is. And so the return comes here. This is the return. So this return, and as you can see, these vents are straight. These vents used to be at a 45 degree or even steeper angle, so it looks pretty, but since it's only a small 16-inch here, it was really restricted, and it was whistling. It's loud right now, it's still too small, but it was whistling like a jet engine. So I took 2 flat duck-billed pliers and I bent all the grills up straight, and that allowed for good airflow without being restricted. So what happens is you could feel all the air pull in from all the cracks when the heater is on, because the heater is kicking air into this downstairs apartment. We're still in the same building, common wall, but there is no connection for air return. There is no return going back to that return. So basically this apartment down here is a shoebox outside of the building envelope, and they're pushing heated air that's coming from the supply of the house into this exterior envelope, causing the whole entire house to go negative and cooking the people who live downstairs out. So unfortunately, what they found out was the maintenance guy came out here and he disconnected and he plugged off what appeared to be a Y that was feeding heat to this downstairs in-law apartment, but it actually wasn't. Those were the 2 outlets in the other, off the ducting, the supplies that go and feed 2 bedrooms, the kitchen, and a bathroom, and pressurize this in-law that is outside of the shoebox. It's outside of the building envelope of this entire building. So they're gonna get back. I'm not gonna fix this. We're doing the heat pump down here to isolate, so they have heating and cooling downstairs. And the maintenance guy is gonna come back here and open up his handiwork, the handyman, and he's gonna open that back up, and he's gonna plug off the correct ones. And then I found a piece of furniture over this supply right here, goes up to the living room right here, and they had a piece of furniture blocking it. And so I told them they can't have the piece of furniture right up next to the supply. It was killing this one, and this one shares to 2 rooms. It goes to a front room here, and it goes to like the living room area here. Yeah, just a cluster. It's like, you know, you don't pull air from outside the envelope or from inside the envelope and then pump it outside, because you basically turn the whole house into a shop vac. And when it's 40 degrees outside, the same cubic feet of air that is being pumped into the little house outside the envelope is being sucked in from every crack in the building. They have sky-high electrical, or in this case it's gas. They have sky-high gas bill for gas usage, because as fast as it's trying to heat and pumping it out, all the windows and doors are pulling in cold. And this is old Shash windows that have the dumbbells in the side, and they're single glaze from the 1920s. It still has the original windows in this house. So you turn something that's inefficient even more inefficient. And but I'm not here for that. A handyman can tell. I'll tell them what to do. I'm not going to handle that. We're just going to finish putting the heat pump in. And so that's, oh, an electrical problem. So another tenant upstairs, since I was here, asked me, they had electrical just went out yesterday. And so what I found was, how can I explain this? Well, basically it's in series. And this is an old house, 1920s. So the outlets are in series. And between one wall, between two rooms, different people are renting 2 rooms. They have a shared wall, and they have a outlet that's sharing the same power. So I pulled, and I found out there's 83 volts in the wall onto the right, and then in the room to the left, there's 83 volts on an outlet there. And I seen there's only 1 wire going through, so it's daisy chained. And so and then what I found out is when I went to neutral, originally they didn't have neutral. We're talking 1920s. I did a video on this place a year or 2 ago where I put a ground wire to that one room because he's a computer guy. And so what I did was I checked my ground to L1, and we have 120 volts, because remember, ground comes all the way back to the main power feed in the main panel and connects at a junction to neutral. So I go from neutral, the neutral I added a year or 2 ago, to power, I got 120. But when I go from power to neutral, I only get 83. So that means high resistance. So then I asked, this is, now I know, and it's the old cloth wiring, and all the copper is black on all the connectors. So then I asked, did somebody hook in a heater? Because that'll draw in high amperage, since I know they're not getting heat. And the lady in the one room said, yes, I plugged in an electric heater in this outlet, and then the power stopped working after a while. So what happened was, somewhere in the daisy chain in the house, because some of them share with lights, and there'll be wire nuts everywhere. 2 copper wires are old and corroded, and they're loose, and they have a lot of corrosion. And because somebody plugged in a high amperage heater, those high resistance contacts got hot, and they burnt, and they became higher resistant resistors. So instead of letting 120 volts go through, it's now only 83. And that's somewhere, I'm not going to take care of that. They're going to send out an electrician and hunt that down, because I'll charge more than an electrician if they make me hunt that down. So they're going to send someone out here to do that. But that's what happens in these old houses. Somebody plugs in a 10, 12, or 15 amp heater, and it will burn the connectors that have high resistance in them, that never had high amperage run through them for many years. It'll make those burn, and then they'll become higher resistance and then drop the voltage. And so seen that 100 times, and they're going to take care of that upstairs. Other problems. So I'm here for one thing and get called for and the batteries were dead in the thermostat. And it's a old style. It had a mercury thermostat in there that I changed a year or 2 ago. And so it was running off the batteries. The batteries are dead, so the contacts it couldn't make contact to turn on the furnace. So 3 issues. All right, that's it. Not a dramatic video, but that's what's going on.